If you manage company directories or member lists, you need this hack. 2 automations that surface every Airtable ID in your people directory, whether they're Airtable collaborators or not. My name is Steph Bennett, and I'm a developer at Optimize IS. We're the 2-time Airtable Partner of the Year, helping teams build smarter systems. If you'd like our help, there's a link in the description to book a call. As for now, let me show you these 2 tricks.
So you don't have to have base access to track whether someone has an Airtable user ID. And so this could be helpful if you're looking at an employee directory or a member directory and you want to either do invitations at the interface level, or you just want to know the level of Airtable usage across the board. And so what this would look like at the data layer is you can do a copy paste of an email address into an Airtable user field. And so this is an Airtable user field. We've turned off notify users. This is mainly for tracking and not for notification. And we don't want to have multiple users. This is a direct person to Airtable user. So in this case, we could just copy an email address and paste it in to Airtable user. And what this does is give us a look at, we can see that this email address does have an Airtable account, but there's no base access. So let's do this one. Just copy paste. This one does have creator base access. And so this is an email address that is, has base access. You can see that it's blue rather than, crossed out. Let's do this one, paste. You can see nothing happened. So this is an example email address. This does not have an Airtable account associated with it. So this is the core logic that we'll be working with in order to use 2 automations to automate this. And it's a bit of a hack because there are some assumed failures with this automation, but it's going to be able to replicate what we just did with this copy paste. And so let's go into the automations to take a look. Okay, this first one is looking at when a record is updated and looking at just the email address. So this is when someone gets a new email address. This is looking at if someone edits their email address, it is going to take a look there when it's typed in. First step is it's going to run a 20-second delay. And so this is a code I like to use a lot, and it just waits 20 seconds. So if you're typing in email address, email, that takes a few seconds. The E will trigger the automation, but you don't want to assume that E is the email address. It's email@email.com. And so this 20 seconds allows for someone to type in the full email address. You can make it longer. You can make it, I think 30 seconds, 40 seconds is the maximum for Airtable script step. So I always just stick to 20 seconds. You can do multiple 20 seconds if you'd like. The next step is to find that record. So you're looking the record ID of the trigger record. We're also going to check to see if Airtable user is empty. So making the assumption that we don't want to override existing Airtable user identities in there. Maybe you do in your use case, but in this case, we'll just keep it simple and we only want to update blank ones. And so now we're looking to see if the record length is 1. So if only one record was found, only one person has that record ID, and that one person does not have a user account, we're going to run these 2 steps. The first step is updating a field called last Airtable user attempt. And this is just a date field. So if we go into any of the automations, you'll see a specific time. And from here, you can insert the actual runtime. And the reason this is split is because we want this to happen no matter what. We don't want this step to fail because it'll influence our next automation. Now this one is updating, again, this trigger record, but we are going to use the Airtable user field and plug in the email address from the find record. So again, this is why we're going to use this step to make sure we have the full updated email address. And so what this looks like in a test situation is we would have this, we would, actually, let's go here. Let's clear these out. We'll do one of these. We'll wait 20 seconds. We'll find the record. We'll test it. We just have one. That's great. And so let's plug in that date. And now let's plug in that user. So you'll be able to see That user has now been populated. They don't have base access, but that's fine. Now let's turn this on to see what happens on a different email address. Let's say Miguel has changed his email address and it's .p.santos. What will happen in the background is you'll see a history and you'll see this one in progress. And so we have to wait the 20 seconds. After the 20 seconds has passed, you'll see that this automation failed to run, but it didn't really. It got the job done. So what it did is it found the record. Yes, it had one. It updated that time, and then updating the record failed because the field Airtable user cannot accept the value because there's no matching collaborator, which is fine. There's no matching collaborator. So you'll get the email alert that it was a failure. But you will just know that that is part of this process. It's a bit of a hack, but it works. Okay, and so let's say we have these accounts and someone doesn't change their email, but they signed up for Airtable. And so they signed up for Airtable within the past week. And so this Airtable user attempt here, let's assume that this person had an email account. Last week, it didn't have a Airtable user. So we've created a view here. This view looks whether the Airtable user attempt is before a week ago. You can set it to a month ago. You can do a monthly run. You can do a daily run, whatever it may be. You can make sure that the email address is not empty. They have to have an email for us to do this, and that the Airtable user is empty. And so this is the view that the second automation will use to trigger. And so this one's simple. As soon as something enters a view, we will, let's choose the record here. Let's update that actual runtime to today. And then we will update the record with an email address. And so now you'll see it's no longer in this view because both the Airtable user attempt was filled, so it wasn't within a week, and the Airtable user is complete. And so let's turn this on and do just 2 more tests. Let's pretend that this one, we last attempted to do that last week, and then same for this one. So you'll see in the background, some things are happening very quickly. Both of these entered this view. They're already gone. It happened so quickly. You can see that this was a success. And let's look at the automation runs here. History, we have 1 success and 1 failure. But it's not a failure because it got the job done. And then a week from now, it's going to do it again. And so this is a bit of a hack to make it work. You'll get failures. You'll have to delete them out from your email. You'll have to just understand that 50% failure rate on this isn't a bad thing. But for the few successes, you'll be able to track this automated, and it'll save you from having to manually copy paste.
If you found this helpful and you want us to explore how to build something customized like it for you, book a call via the link in the description.